the leader in talk radio on the Internet, right here on K98Talk.com.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. And then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-513-6154. That's 1-800-513-6154. Again, 1-800-513-6154. Call now.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it. There to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
In these uncertain economic times, you've got to do whatever you can to save money. One of our biggest expenses can be our cars, especially when unexpected repair bills hit. Not anymore. If you own a vehicle with less than 130,000 miles, is less than 12 years old, has a warranty about to expire, or even no warranty at all, you could stop paying for car repairs. Roadside assistance, towing, and rental coverage are all included. Don't wait for the next repair. Make one free call right now to see if you qualify. If your vehicle is less than 12 years old, has less than 130,000 miles, even if it's out of warranty, paying for car repairs can become a thing of the past. Call us right now and get your car protected before your next repair bill hits. Get protection and no more repair bills. Call 800-696-1030. Again, 800-696-1030. That's 800-696-1030. 800-696-1030.
All right, folks, this is Rick Robinson with you. I want to tell you about some friends of mine from a company called Security Enforcement Specialists. When I ran my security agency for 12 years, I worked with one of these partners on a daily basis. He's been involved in this agency now, and with his other partner, they do have over 30 years of experience in the private security industry. If you own a business and you need someone to keep you or your customers or residents safe, then I highly recommend contacting Security Enforcement Specialists today. Give them a call at 405-703-1796. Again, that's 405-703-1796. Again, tell them Rick from K98 Talk sent you. Like I said, if you need the help, they are here for you. So make sure that you go look them up, check them out, and see what they can do.
Wrong way. Welcome to the place. Welcome.
Joe had huge problems with the IRS.
I knew it was coming. I hadn't filed taxes since 1990.
All the IRS letters coming in added up to a nightmare.
It got up to like $68,000. My heart started beating fast. It's like, there's no way, man. I mean, I ain't going to be able to do this.
Then they stopped his paycheck.
So that's when I started making phone calls and found U.S. Tax Shield.
U.S. Tax Shield went to work immediately.
They just took the bull by the horns. What blew my mind is he called the IRS right then and there.
So why is U.S. Tax Shield A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau? Joe knows.
They saved me a ridiculous amount of money.
If you owe more than $10,000 to the IRS or state, choose the company Joe chose, U.S. Tax Shield.
It was the best decision I made. U.S. Tax Shield is the way to go. Life is good. Thank you, Lord.
Call 800-471-3287.
U.S. Tax Shield. Boo-rah. Yes.
800-471-3287. 800-471-3287.
The Internet will never be the same. You're listening to K98Talk.com.
Good God, y'all. What is it good for? Absolutely. Let's get started again.
You are listening live to the Vito and Vito Show. Disrespectful to the executive branch.
I would remind you that extremism in the defense of liberty is no vice.
Don't sign the damn deal, and the president won't.
Therefore, I do not believe that the majority can vote a man's life or property or freedom away from him.
And we're live here on the Vito and Vito Show. I'm Vito.
And I'm Vito.
And we want to welcome everybody to the Vito and Vito Show right here. Check out the website, www.vitoandvito.com, and give us a follow on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Vito and Vito Show. And boy, do we have a show for you lined up. Before we go any further, I want my co-host, Vito DiGiovanni, to explain just what you're listening to right here on the Vito and Vito Show.
Well, we're bringing you the perspectives of two college-age millennial conservative libertarians out of liberal hellhole Brooklyn, New York.
Mm-hmm.
We are defending the principles of free markets, liberty, and individualism. We hold no punches here on the show.
Oh, none at all. And we have a show in store for you. First of all, I want to first start off by saying, Vito, happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday. Happy Vito and Vito Show Day.
Ah, great.
This is when we broadcast.
But before we go any further, actually, this past week was Veterans Day.
Yes.
So I want to give a great big thanks to all those veterans, in all seriousness, who served this country, and unfortunately those who passed in the heat of battle. So we do thank you for your service right here on the Vito and Vito Show. Before we go any further, to those veterans, once again, thank you. Now, let's talk about the past GOP debate, because I know everyone wants to know what Vito and Vito have to say.
Of course.
Of course. I mean, Vito, look, people are barging at the doors. They want to know what we have to say. They want to know just what went down. They want to hear the perspectives of what these two college kids have to say.
All right,
and frankly, after watching this debate, I got to say, the biggest loser was John Kasich, the Ohio governor.
This guy needs to get off the stage.
He's got to get off the Adderall, the Coke, whatever the hell he's
on. He needs to go home. Go home, John. You're drunk.
He is unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. The guy was jumping and screaming and hoping to grab somebody's attention. I found it to be ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous to see this going on. John Kasich, again, I think he's 7th in the polls right now, or at least what Fox Business had him at the stage. And it was he had to be the worst thing up on that stage. It was so embarrassing to watch. Was it not, Vito?
I mean, he was like a little baby out there. He kept whining, trying to get attention, trying to get the moderators to let him talk, trying to jump in every single conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, let's get into policy.
Well.
When he's talking about amnesty.
He was. And the thing about John Kasich that bothers me is that he keeps calling out the Republican Party. He keeps saying this is...
He keeps attacking.
He keeps attacking his own party. What are you doing? How do you intend on winning 35% of the Republican base? Let's keep in mind, 35% of the Republican base is considered conservative. 35% of Americans, according to a Gallup poll, consider themselves conservative. So how do you intend on winning that crucial part of the base? That crucial part that actually goes out and knocks on doors. That crucial part that actually goes out to get the vote out.
And votes in the primaries.
Exactly. How do you intend on getting them to the polls? And if you're John Kasich and you think attacking other people within your own party and your own party's grassroots operation, what they want is a way to win the Republican nomination, you're out of your mind. You're absolutely out of your mind, but it doesn't just stop there. It moves over to Jeb Bush as well. Jeb Bush claiming to be a conservative, the most boring guy on the stage. I'll give Kasich this. He's a rhino, but he's fun to watch. He's absolutely fun to watch. But you have somebody like Jeb Bush who was just boring, lethargic, empty,
programmed.
And what bothers me is that the Republican establishment wants this guy to win. They want him to win. They want him to continue the Bush-era Republicanism. And that's the problem that I think the grassroots has with the Republican Party today.
But sticking with John Kasich, I mean, he ranked one of the lowest on with Frank Luntz with the whole reaction. Remember this? With
he does
the focus group?
Right. He's the pollster on Fox.
The pollster. So he got booed heavily when he was talking about the big banks, saying how he'll bail them out. Remember when he went back and forth with Ted Cruz?
Absolutely. And you gotta love Ted Cruz because you could just tell the laser beam focus this man has. And you want to talk about intellectual might on that stage, Ted Cruz has it. Because the way he was able to use John Kasich's own words against him is what makes Ted Cruz not just a master litigator and master legal mind, a master scholar. Right. It to me, it shows me it's a guy who knows what he's talking about. He knows what he's talking about. He could listen to what you're saying, and he's able to pounce on that like that. And that's what I love about Ted Cruz, Vito. That's why he's my pick for 2016. That's why I also think he did so well. He did so well at this debate.
He did. We'll get into the grading a little bit later that we post on VitoandVito.com. Each grades for both of us for each candidate. But John Kasich, I think you know by now, definitely failed. Nobody liked him up there.
No, not at all. None at all. Listen, he was absolutely embarrassing, and he should be ashamed of himself. But listen, we're not just going to stop with the debate. We also have a lot of other stuff to talk about exactly. What's going on college campuses, man. What's going on college campuses, Vito? What is going on? What is
You probably saw
happening?
the hashtag on Twitter, Million Student March. These students decided to take a day off of class and go protest across the country, which was inspired by Bernie Sanders. They were saying the socialist who wants free stuff for everybody.
You know, I don't understand how a socialist can run in the Democratic Party, and then when I tell a Democrat that you are basically nothing, your entire party, your entire political philosophy is nothing but closeted socialism, they laugh at me. They tell me I don't know what I'm talking about. They say I'm too extreme. But if you look at it, Vito, what is an extreme Republican?
Conservative?
A conservative. Okay, so what is a conservative?
Well, it's not extreme.
But this is what the media will paint this as. So what is an extreme conservative?
Racist.
No. Well, that's what they would
the
say.
media paints us. But the extreme left, the base, are these socialists and communists. Because this is what it's connected philosophically. So when you have the far left, it's Bernie Sanders, a self-proclaimed democratic socialist.
Right, and I would argue that if you look at it this way, what is an extreme conservative that everyone gets so mad about? People that want to give you back your own money. Cut taxes. People that want to deregulate.
Protect your individual rights.
Absolutely. Further the concept of capitalism. To have more freedom.
That's
People
radical.
that want to strengthen and broaden liberty in its fullest sense. I don't understand how an extreme conservative or an extreme libertarian or whatever is an evil person who hates America. I certainly will say, because America was built on extreme conservatism, I will certainly say
extreme in quote.
Extreme is in quotes, and it is what the media will paint this as. And then you have extreme leftists out there who are far, far, far off the mark when it comes down to what it means to be an American. It's very simple. Americans love liberty. They love individual rights. It's not a very hard concept to grasp, but those on the left, the extreme left, like Bernie Sanders, Barack Obama, Nancy Pelosi, these are the people that are pushing this country to the left, not in the social way. I care less about social issues. I care about liberty. I care about the sense of economic affairs. I care about foreign policy. And what are they doing? They're trying to minimize the individual's role in society. They're just trying to make everything about us. Notice, Republicans never really say the word us. It's always about you. It's your money. It's thievery. They're stealing from you. The government's taking from you. But right now, what we see, Vito, is Democrats completely deviating away from that philosophy. Listen, we got a caller calling in. I want to let her on the phone right now. She is a politic. She's a reporter. She's our millennial moment of the week. This thing, it's still going on, that whole millennial thing. I got to give it up to Mona Salama, who was watching the debate with us. Politic. Follow her on Twitter at politicalcrazy. What is up, Mona?
What is up, everybody? Hi, Vito.
What's
How's it
going
Mona?
on?
I'm finally awake. Oh my gosh! Like, wow, what a debate we saw this week.
Absolutely. Tell us now. You were watching it with us. So, what were your reactions when you were watching this debate? Because you were listen. I was falling asleep. I was drawing pictures and doodling. You, on the other hand, was so focused on this thing. Tell us what stuck out to you the most.
What stuck out to me was the questions that the moderators asked the candidates. It was actually informative. And it taught me a lot because you know me, I'm always asking you, Vito P, about economics. I'm like a blonde person when it comes to economics. And I was actually like so intrigued that I learned so much, and I learned the difference between each candidate understands when it comes to immigration, when it comes to the big banks issues, and when it comes to so many other issues that was asked, that I know now the difference between everybody and everybody, what's their platform, and coming, down the rail with Iowa coming up in like 80 days. Now I know who's going to win it, who's going to take it, who's going to lose it.
Well, I mean, when you see, and again, I'm an economics major, and I've been reading economics since beginning of high school and stuff like that. So when I see the candidates talking about, like Ted Cruz, sound money, and Rand Paul, who I think won that debate, by the way, talking about the Federal Reserve, you're finally getting down to these things that really matter in the American economy, the issues. The things that are driving the problems in the American economy. This is it. And I'm so happy to finally see people talking about it. But I want to talk about the moderators because you made an interesting point. You said the moderators in this entire debate were fair. I tend to agree 100%. The moderators were on their game. They weren't attacking other Republicans.
Absolutely.
They weren't attacking candidates. They weren't attacking each other. They focused on the issues, and that was the most important part. And I got to say, Mona, that to me stuck out, and it's a shame because I don't think that should stick out, but it did. And I got to give it to the moderators at Fox.
Yeah, you're right. And then, it's funny, I was watching Bill O'Reilly yesterday, and CNN commentator was talking about how the questions was not hard-hitting. I'm sorry that, CNN, they weren't like CNN and saying, hey, gotcha, if that's what you consider hard-hitting. Because to be honest, these questions were hard-hitting, to the point that even Kasich was being so annoying that he wanted to answer with his liberal, rhino, unconservative views.
Well, I want to talk about that. I want to talk about that for a second. You're more of a political reporter than us. I mean, we just pretend to be political reporters. But what would you consider a hard-hitting question? Because I think some questions about the candidates' positions, like Ben Carson's the media spin that they're trying to put on his West Point scholarship issue. I think that was a tough question. I think the tough questions about would you bail out the banks was a tough question. What is a tough question, Mona? What would you consider as a political reporter a tough question to ask a candidate running for president?
Tough questions is like, I wish, the immigration question was asked to Rubio, why did you support the 2013 Gang of Eight bill, for example? Another tough question was to Ted Cruz, like, would you support a bailout of the banks again, as what happened in 2008 before you got into the Senate? With Jeb Bush, like, you talk about 4%, growth of interest. Like, how is that going to happen? The last time we've seen a 4% growth of interest was, like, during the 1960s. So how can that happen again? Things like that, like, those were tough hitting questions, taking their talking point and turning it around and, hey, be like, explain your talking points. Just don't say A, B, C. Tell me X, Y, and Z.
Right. I think that's a valid point. I mean, what's not a hard-hitting question? What's more like the expose, that stupid tabloid nonsense question? It's when you get somebody asking Marco Rubio, let's talk about your foreclosed homes. I think that's ridiculous. When they label Donald Trump as a clown. Exactly, or his credit card bills. That really has nothing to do with somebody running for president. And then the personal attacks, like I said, against Donald Trump, calling him stuff a clown campaign. What are you doing?
A comic book version.
A comic book version. It's embarrassing. And frankly, I mean, it if anything, it shows to me just how unprofessional a commentator, or not really a commentator, but as a political reporter, as a journalist, that these people portray themselves to be. Fox Business did a great job at this debate. I got to give it to them.
Yeah, and especially, like, they asked, the question just so it will get off the air. Like, I like how Neil Cavuto worded it. It was like, is this going to bother you through the campaign for Ben Carson? And he let Ben Carson explain himself. Ben Carson nailed it on the point. It was like, hey, I have no problems being vetted on for the things I said, but I don't like being lied to. And he reminded people about Hillary Clinton, how like everybody's praising her, but nobody attacks her. And that was what helped him win the moment of the debate, that part of the debate.
Now, what happened with Donald Trump? He wasn't as loud and as the Donald usually is. I think he behaved himself a little better this debate. Do you think that's going to help him, hurt him? What did you see?
I think Donald Trump doesn't need to explain himself anymore. He already has his, his crew, I would say, the Trump 2016. He doesn't need to go any higher in the polls. And if he says anything, it can probably help him or hurt him. I think he just let everybody have the spotlight because no matter what he says or does, he's still going to be number one until something else happens. And we'll see what happens with, now with Marco Rubio and Ted Cruz, the past two debates. They've been killing it, and now they're rising in the polls. So we'll see from now until December 15th with the next debate, CNN. And if, Donald Trump falls any lower, then that's when we're going to see Donald Trump, go back on his attack mode, being the Donald Trump he is. But right now, I think he's just laying low and just saying, hey, I'm number one. I don't need to explain myself. Everybody knows what I'm all about.
Well, I mean, I want to hit on this quick point but before we get over to the grading, because I know you got some grades you want to throw out with us. I got to talk about this issue with Donald Trump. I mean, is he the same Donald Trump from the first debate, from the second debate on the campaign trail? Because to me, like Vito said, he looks very pulled back, very reserved, very, very politician-like. And I mean, yeah, he has some good zingers in there. He's still Donald Trump. You still get that error to him. You get that feeling. But when you see Donald Trump, my whole thing is, where's that bombastic Donald Trump that put Donald Trump number one in the polls? To me, I haven't seen it. I've seen him much more reserved in this debate, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing towards his advantage, because the only thing that's really worked for the Donald is being the Donald. I haven't seen that from him in the last two debates, and I wonder if this is a trend that maybe he's picked up or what the story may be.
Well, we saw parts of it with Kasich when he was talking about the immigration bill, and he's talking about Eisenhower, what he did in the 1950s. That's winning a lot of support with the white supremacist group. Now, a lot of people are agreeing with him, that when it comes to illegal immigrants and they're breaking the laws, they have to be deported. And Kasich saying, like, no, what can you do about it? And he's just like, I don't have to listen to you. So we did see parts of this in the last debate. And then the CNBC debate we saw, and it was like, really? Like, you're calling me a clown? We'll see it. His attacks always comes after the debate. We never see it during the debate. And then, like, when he attacked Carly, I think that hurt him a little bit, but I don't think that's going to phase him too much.
Well, listen, let's get into the report cards right now. Vito, break it down for us. You got the list.
Yes, we posted our whole grade book on VitoandVito.com, so go check that out right now. VitoandVito.com. But we're going to join Mona's grades here. Let's start from the top. Rand Paul, Mona. What grade would you give him?
Rand Paul killed it. We thought the Rand Paul that we used to, he actually shined in this debate. I thought he was flatlining, but he actually came back, and we're going to see a little improvement in his debate, his poll numbers. So I would say I'll give him an A-.
I got to give him an A.
I thought my poll. He actually won my poll with the debate between him and Rubio about the fireworks with, being conservative and not conservative.
Right. Well, I got to give you. I got to give you this. I got to give Rand Paul an A. I thought he did absolutely wonderful. And notice on the economic issues, Rand Paul's spot on. Spot on the Fed. He was spot on different issues like
tax plan,
the TPP. I got to give it to Rand Paul. He did an absolutely wonderful job. And I hated how people are labeling him an isolationist. He's not an isolationist. He certainly has a different foreign policy. But how Marco Rubio, who I'm beginning to really grow tired of, just attacked the man, said he's an isolationist, and he completely changed the subject on Marco Rubio, which had nothing to do with foreign policy in that specific question.
But I think I give Rand Paul an A. He won the debate, I think.
Yeah, and he actually was like, hey, how can you be conservative if you want to spend money like a liberal? But, he actually, and then he reminded, everybody, like, China's not with the TPP. And then the moderators were like, yeah, you're right, Rand. Oh, yeah, you're right.
Absolutely. But after Rand Paul, moving on, we have Ted Cruz. Now, Mona, Ted Cruz, what grade do you give him?
Amazing. And now, like, the political reporters are now going to be following him like crazy like they have with Donald Trump. they've ignored him in the past. You know, these mainstream political reporters. I haven't, and a lot of conservative people haven't. But now we're going to see a lot of reports on Ted Cruz, and everybody's going to be following him because now he's a wreck to be forced with, and he's going to be the person that everybody's going to be watching, and his poll numbers are going to go up. And I think he might be second coming in the CNN debate in December 15th. I think he's going to be number 2.
Number 2. Wow. Oh, I hope so. Listen, I'm telling you right now, Ted Cruz, man, he did such a great job. When he brought up that issue of sound money, as someone who's as an avid reader of Ludwig von Mises and Friedrich Hayek, and the Austrian School of Economics and the idea of free markets, when you bring up the concept of sound money, it's not just Ron Paul talking and yelling anymore. No, we're finally talking about the political philosophy, economics in its truest form, the idea of human action, and we're finally getting to a point where we're talking about sound money. Thank God, finally. Enough of this fiat printing press type system we have today. I got to give Ted Cruz an A. I think he did absolutely wonderful. I got to give it to him. He did spectacular.
I agree. This back-to-back debates. I think did really well. The only thing was his Rick Perry moment.
Yeah, that's true.
When he said the Department of Commerce.
He said 5 agencies that he would cut. It's always 5. It's around 5, something like that.
It was 5. He repeated one. He said it twice. He meant the Department of Education. Is what else he wanted to cut. But yeah, the Rick Perry moment. But he covered that up after. Joke around and said it's so terrible we have to abolish it twice. But nonetheless, I think it didn't hurt him too much. But after him, we got Dr. Ben Carson. Mona, what about Ben Carson?
I would give Ben Carson a B+. He was strong with the question about, his media attacks, and he felt, down when it came to the foreign policies, but he had a very strong closing remarks, so I won't see him going anywhere anytime soon. But with his performance, I think he needs to get stronger when it comes to foreign policy and economics, and remind people, hey, just because I'm a doctor doesn't mean I'm stupid.
Yeah, I got to give Ben Carson, I got to give him maybe a B+, too. I thought he did all right. He didn't do great, but, at the same time, he did pretty well. I think he held his own. But again, Ben Carson has this thing to him. He's not as this charismatic flash in the pan. When you look at somebody like Ben Carson, I'm still calling it, he's going to be a great VP candidate, or at least he's got to be involved in the next administration, provided it's Republican. I got to give it to Ben Carson, though. He did well. He held his own, but at the same time, he didn't stick out. So I'll give him a B. Or maybe like a B-, but he did pretty well.
I'll give him B as well. I mean, he held his own. He did not really struggle when it came to the West Point controversy and everything. So I think he made it through that is what people are looking for during last debate. And fun fact, he had an increase of 6.8 thousand Twitter followers, the most among all candidates. So people are starting to follow him and get traction. He's still popular. Donald Trump, Mona, the Donald.
The Donald, I give him a B+. He told Kasich, like, stop talking, let me finish. He was very strong on his immigration platform and what he wants to do. That's what's been helping him win, number 1 in the polls for the past 5 months. And he gave a example of how he was able to deport, the illegals. He was very strong on that. And he was very strong when he actually talked about corporate something. I can't remember the word. It just slipped my mind right now. But he's very strong when it comes to business. That's how he made it so far in his career. So he knows what he's talking about, and he was very strong when he had his soundbite.
Yeah, I gotta give the Donald something good here. I'm gonna give him a B. I think he did very well. But at the same time, when you look at Donald Trump, where's that pizzazz, man? Where's that pizzazz that we're waiting for from the Donald? But I think he did very well. I love how he called out John Kasich, though. When he brought up Operation Wetback, something like in the Dwight Eisenhower administration, when people keep saying we can't deport illegals, there's no way to do it. Dwight Eisenhower did it, and it was Operation Wetback. We could talk about if it was a good idea or not, but I think it's a pretty good idea if you're running for president to bring up historical case studies to back up your point. He does a very good job in that regard. I'm going to give him what I gave him.
He did do that well. I'll give him a B-. He was much more quiet. I think everybody noticed that. But he was called out by Rand Paul as saying that China was not in the TPP deal. So I think he did kind of slip up a little bit, especially when he told Carly, why does she keep interrupting me? He got booed big time by the crowd. And when he was saying that he met Vladimir Putin on 60 Minutes, right, with the green screen,
right?
That's not true. So a few things there, I guess, opposition research, people are going to try to take advantage of. But
is it going to hurt him, Vito?
The Donald Trump is untouchable, Vito. Don't you see this?
I don't know. The Teflon Don. We'll see how it goes.
Marco Rubio. Mona.
Marco Rubio, no matter what, I know you don't like him, but he was very strong in the debate. I'll give him an A. and I'm not gonna see him go anywhere anytime soon. I just wish that the moderators asked him that immigration question so he can find a way to like defend himself or like catch him in a loop. So we'll see the next debate.
You know, Marco Rubio. Look, I don't like him. I've lost all taste for Marco Rubio. I think he's embarrassing. I think at the same time he's also a flip flopper. The guy says one thing about the Gang of Eight, he comes back, says another thing about the Gang of Eight. He supported it, and then all of a sudden he had a revelation in the middle of the night while he's running for president of the United States that he doesn't want illegal immigration, and he completely rejects something that he was so instrumentally a part of. So I got to give him this. I'm going to give Marco Rubio. But I think he held his own, so I'll give him a C+, B-, along the borderline. You know, Rubio had something to him. I still think he comes off as presidential, and the rhinos are going to gravitate towards him. But I'm not sold on him, man. I'm telling you right now. He's something to watch. He's a snake in the grass. I'm not a fan of Marco Rubio at all. He's a flip-flopping fool.
I give him B-.
Huh.
You know, you hit the nail on the head with the flip-flopping and everything.
You like him more than I do. Unbelievable. But you like him more.
Again, I'll say this. There's a disclaimer on top of the website. We are judging the debate performance, not what we like about the policy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? But he did do pretty good during the debate. A lot of people... You know, his personality is great. A lot of people do like him, especially millennials. I think that still stayed up there. But he did lose, especially with me.
Mm-hmm.
I did not like his exchange with Rand Paul.
No.
At all. He lost that. He changed the subject. He could not answer the question about how conservative his tax plan is with the family credits. So I think he definitely lost big there. But Mona, Carly Fiorina, what do you give her?
I give Carly an A. I don't see the pizzazz that I've seen in the first two debates. But you know what? She still knew what she was talking about, and I don't see her like going anywhere anytime soon as well. She was very strong. She knew what she was talking about. She reminded people that she knows all these foreign leaders that President Obama does not want to talk to, and she knows them personally. And if she was commander-in-chief, she's not gonna be like President Obama. She's gonna let them know, and she's gonna have that pizzazz of that woman. Be like, I'm gonna tell you something. You're gonna listen to me, and you're gonna listen to me right now.
Hey, I got, Carly Fiorina is interesting. I'm going to go ahead and I think she did all right. I'm going to give her maybe a C+ or a B-. I still can't take the way she talks. The way she comes across. She's like, and we're going to do like, just spit it out, girl. You could do it. I'm not a big fan of Carly at all by any means. I really don't want her for the nomination, let alone in the party. But I got to give her this, though. I think she did okay. She held her own. She's Carly Fiorina, but she's not going to last. Her record is it speaks for itself, and unfortunately, I think that's going to be her downfall.
Yeah, I'll give her a C+. Listen, she was a flavor of the week.
Yeah.
A couple weeks ago, she hit it big, but she's just been quiet. Where has she been? She hasn't been shining out. Everything just seems like she's repeating herself. Nothing crazy. Just like Chris Christie, they keep attacking Hillary Clinton. It's not what I want to hear. It's not. She didn't do well.
Yeah, you got to defend.
She did great.
You got to defend your points. Who's next?
Jeb Bush. Mona.
I will give Jeb Bush a B. He actually did okay compared to the other previous debates. He's not a good debater, but he just reminded his donors that hey, he's still running and he still needs money and he still quote unquote has a chance to win. Which I don't know which world he would win in. But he was actually better than he was in the previous debates. So I don't think he's going to drop out anytime soon like everybody's hoping for. So we'll see.
Hey, you know what? Don't be so sold on Jeb not dropping out. I see it happening in the near future, but I got to give you this. And I think you hit on a great point. He was boring. Nothing sticks out. You just hit the nail on the head, Mona. You said he was there.
No, what sticks out when he attacked Hillary Clinton and he had said that he promised to extend of all Obama's unlawful executive actions. So that helped him win the debate at that part. But besides that, everything else, he just flatlined. But I'm not saying that he's not going to drop out, but I don't think he's not going to drop out until probably like March or something, unless he loses Iowa, which he's definitely going to lose Iowa. New Hampshire, I don't know. It could be a toss. New Hampshire is very flip-floppy when it comes to debate.
I think there's 2 points here. There's a credibility issue when he says he's going to repeal all these executive orders. I don't know if he's going to do it. He said he's going to be flip-flopping on Obamacare. We've seen it in the past. But when you look at somebody like Jeb Bush, I'm not sold on him. Like you said before, he's there to remind his donors he's still there. Hey, guess what, pal? You can still send money to me. I don't see it as being the guy who's going to take the GOP over the hump towards victory. Not my guy. Not a fan. I'm telling you right now, like I said, I'll give him maybe a C-. I think he did awful.
I agree. C-. He did better than the last couple of debates that he had, but that's not saying much. Jeb Bush is flat. He sounds programmed. And he said that immigration reform, talking about deporting everybody was silly and not an adult argument. Like, give me a break. That absolutely did not help his argument. But last but not least, Governor Kasich, Mona.
Oh, he gets an ass. He was so annoying. And remember when we were together and we were on my political chick Facebook group page where all the like-minded patriots, discuss about the debate. Everybody was just sick in their mind. And I really wanted to do the George Bush era moment where I was going to throw a shoe at him because he was so damn annoying, trying to intervene and then trying to bring his, moderate views that, it's not going to win anymore. Any moderate views you have anymore, it's not going to win with the American people. People are sick and tired of hearing that a moderate could win the presidency, not a conservative, not anymore. We're going to see a conservative president come 2016, hopefully with the 5 that we have running out of the gang of 13, I will call them, or 15. I can't count. I'm really bad at math.
Yeah, well, it's unbelievably a mess. Look, I got to give him this John Kasich an F. He's an animal. The man's jumping and screaming all over the stage. What are you doing, pal? Shut up, sit down, and let the people speak. You have a question, talk when answered, when spoken to. He lost his manners. He's a rhino, and he keeps harping on attacking conservatives in his own party. Don't know how he's going to win the nomination. I find it to be absolutely absurd, let alone the general election. The guy's a loser. He's a failure. Expanded Medicaid in his own state. He's accepted Obamacare. He said conservatives aren't compassionate. You're an idiot, John. I cannot take you. I think you should drop out immediately. John Kasich is a
he
fool.
should drop out because he should run for Hillary's VP nomination. So
exactly, that's it. Make him run on Hillary's ticket. There you go. I give him an F.
Oh, he gets an F. He should be expelled. I expel him. Done with this guy.
Listen, it is what it is.
He's in school.
Exactly, expel. Put him in the corner with a dunce cap. I gotta say this.
Bathroom.
Throw him in the bathroom. I gotta give you this. Mona Salama right here. Follow her on Twitter at Political Crazy. She is a chick. I'm a man, and I gotta give it to her. She did absolutely wonderful. She does great work. A political reporter again over at the Politic Chicks website. At Political Crazy is her Twitter handle. Give her a follow, would you? All right, Mona. Thanks for coming on to the Vito and Vito show. We really do appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. See you soon.
And there she is. I got to give it to her, Vito. I got to give it to her. She did good work. She did good work, and she gave a very good analysis of what exactly went down at this debate and what the reporters are going to be following next. Listen, the Vito and Vito show, we're going to break. It's going to be a lot of fun. When we return, we're going to talk about college campus tyranny. Wait till you hear about the silencing of free speech on college campuses. You're going to love this next segment. The Vito and Vito show when we return right here.
Fighting the Common Core standards? Need a powerful tool to help inform others on this harmful education initiative? You're covered with Common Ground on Common Core, the collection of essays by 20 top education experts and activists. Reviewers call it the best single resource on the topic. You can share it with literally anyone. Order your print or digital copy of Common Ground on Common Core today. Just visit resoundingbooks.org. That's resoundingbooks.org. And get $2 off when you tell them Vito and Vito sent you. Paid for by Resounding Books Pack.
Who might you save?
Your mother, your father, your husband, uncle, aunt, son.
Learn FAST, F-A-S-T, the sudden signs of a stroke, and you could save
your friend, teacher, boss.
F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. F-A-S-T. That's F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. The sooner they get to the hospital, the sooner they'll get treatment. And that can make a remarkable difference in the recovery of
your neighbor, the waiter, grandmother, grandfather.
So learn FAST, the sudden signs of a stroke, then pass it on, because you never know who might save you.
Your wife, your colleague.
Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
So what is behind enemy lines anyway?
This is the true story of two friends living in the People's Republic of New York City who work together and have their conversations taped to find out what happens when conservatives stop being politically correct and start getting real. We are Behind Enemy Lines. Watch your wallets. Thursdays at 1 on WNJC, part of the Conservative Commandos Radio Network.
It's important to plan ahead for emergencies, like the storm. When it kicked in, we had a plan.
Separated.
We were able to get in touch with each other in no time.
Had no idea how to find each other.
The whole experience was
the
fine.
most frightening 10 hours of my life.
If there's one piece of advice I'd offer other moms out there, it's to stay calm and keep to the plan.
Some parents plan ahead, some don't. Make sure you know where to find your family in an emergency. Start your plan at ReadyPA.org, brought to you by ReadyPA, FEMA, and the Ad Council.
And we're back here on the Vito and Vito Show. Check out the website, www.vitoandvito.com. Give us a follow, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, at Vito and Vito Show. You can check out some dirty pictures Vito's got up there of himself over at the Instagram. Right, Vito?
Whatever you say, Vito.
Whatever I say, exactly.
Whatever the fans want.
Listen, Vito, man, we got something to talk about going on college campuses across the United States right now. It's a big day today, Vito.
It is.
It's a big day.
But before we jump into that, let's start with yesterday. Veterans Day. Do you know there wasn't an American flag flying in my school at Brooklyn College?
Brooklyn College. Brooklyn College, by the way, was featured on Fox Business Network today.
What do we do now?
No, they were showing the Million Student March. They were showing students organizing, which you're going to get into in just a little bit. But yeah, unbelievable.
Bernie Sanders and Reverend Al went to my school. There you go. I am only conservative. Okay?
I got to give it to you.
Oh, it's terrible. I see them always protesting, and especially anti-cop rhetoric, the pro-Palestinian things, all this outside when I'm trying to get to class, and that's why I'm late. So that's why I tell my professors, and they don't believe it.
I had to push through the liberal nonsense, Professor, please. And you realize that the liberal professor was the one that was guiding the ship of the liberal nonsense. But man, I gotta say, I want to talk about this Million Student March. Students across the U.S. march over debt and free public college. Listen to this. Students held rallies at college campuses across the United States on Thursday to protest ballooning student loan debt for higher education and a rally for tuition-free public colleges. It gets better. And a minimum wage hike for campus workers. The demonstrations, dubbed the Million Student March, were planned just 2 days after thousands of fast food workers took to the streets in a nationwide day of action, pushing for, again, a $15 an hour minimum wage and union rights for the industry. Chants like degrees, not receipts. And is this a school or a corporation? This is what you heard from the Million Student March. This is unbelievable. Unbelievable, Vito. How disgusted are you when you hear stuff like this?
It is stupidity at its finest.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? The liberal higher education, these professors have brainwashed these students. Because it's the cool thing to do. What about our rights? I have a right to this, a right to that. You don't know what these words mean. You're in college, and you don't know what these words mean. I deal with it daily. I am sick of it. I cannot stand these students nor the professors.
Which is why I tend to flip out about stuff like this. It makes it really grinds my gears. It makes my eyes pop. And when you look at things like this, Vito, it makes you, like you said before, what do these words mean? They don't know. They don't know what a right is. They don't know what it means that things aren't free. They never heard of Milton Friedman say there is no such thing as a free lunch. And you keep up with this stuff, and you think this stuff actually makes sense if you're a liberal college student marching in this march. You got no clue what the hell's going on.
Not at all. And the big thing is they want free college tuition because higher education is a right.
So they say.
So they say.
Well, let's define what a right is, Vito.
What is a right?
A right is a freedom to action in a social context. Freedom to action in a social context. That's what a right is. So all these fools out there that keep yelling and screaming about, we have a right to health care, we have a right to a college education, know nothing. A right is being left alone by the government. And anybody else for that matter. I have 3 rights: life, liberty, and property. You have the exact same rights. I mean, we're born with these rights. We come to these conclusions in different ways according to different theorists. Ayn Rand has a different theory. John Locke has a different theory. But you still have these 3 rights that we all basically agree with.
That this nation is founded on in the Constitution. That is the law of the land.
Exactly.
So you can't go around changing these things because when you say free college tuition, well, first things first, nothing's free. Okay? So what you're saying is you want everybody else to pay for your college education. That's not how it works because one, aside from running out of other people's money, this is how socialism doesn't work. Okay? So free college tuition does not work. This is not right. And they go on to say that they also have problems with free speech on college campus. Because remember, in some schools, they have a free speech zone where you can go in this little table area and say anything you want. Like a smoking section.
It's like a smoking section. It's discrimination at the highest degree.
Because you might say something that offends somebody. You know what offends a lot of people in my school?
What is it?
When I say I'm a conservative.
Oh, tell me about
I'm racist. I hate women. I like nobody except for straight white men.
This is what these people say. These people are absolutely insane. And when you look at it this way, Vito, like I said, a right is a freedom to action in a social context, which means you should be left alone by the government, by other people. No force being incurred upon you. But obviously, what these college students don't understand, let's break down their three arguments. The first one being they want free college, free public education. It doesn't make any sense. First of all, how are you going to pay for it? I'm dying to know. So there's an economics issue there. But there's also a philosophical issue. Here we are, sitting at the table, telling me that you have a right to free college. Well, what does that mean? That means you're going to have to pay for these colleges out of taxes, which means you're going to have to force other people to pay for your college education, which means you got to rip money away from them at the hands of the government. So the government's going to come to these people, whether it be the 1%, the 10%, the 40%, whatever percent point you want to pick. They're going to go knocking on their door, asking for more tax money, which means it's going to be robbed from them at gunpoint. Because remember, if you don't pay your taxes, what happens?
You go to jail.
You go to jail. So they're going to take the money from you by force, and they're going to go ahead and fund these other things. College education, the $15 minimum wage, etc., etc., etc. It doesn't make any sense because it violates the very concept of what a right is. Freedom from coercion. Freedom from coercion. My property rights are being violated when you rob my money if you're the government to pay for these programs. It's redistribution of wealth. What obligation do I have to pay for some kid's education? You have no obligation to pay for another person's education. It doesn't make any sense. It's preposterous. It's crazy talk.
The Million Student March also wanted cancellation of student debt. So they want to pull a grease. All the thousands of dollars that they borrowed, they just don't want to pay back. Does that make sense?
No, it doesn't, because what's the point of taking out a loan in the first place?
Borrowing. What does borrow mean?
Right.
You're going to give it back.
Exactly.
Usually when you get a job, but there aren't that many jobs, one, when the economy is not doing great, and when you have an art history or philosophy major.
Hey, you don't hit the art history and philosophy majors. We enjoy the liberal arts here on the Vito show.
Yes, like Marco Rubio said, that we should have more welders, less philosophers.
Well,
minor in it if you like it so much.
Easy, we love philosophers. But the point is, and another issue here too, is that when you look at the situation, you got to wonder, and I sort of feel bad for these kids because they're right. I mean, we're in college now, and college tuition is ridiculously high, but why is it so expensive? And here's the kicker. These morons want to keep running around and protesting. They want to keep going around and screaming for more college money. They want to keep taxing and stealing it from other people who've made this money, who were able to produce this money, but they don't understand that when the government gets involved, all they're doing is creating inflationary pressures that are going to increase the price of college. When the government in any sector of the economy injects money into that sector via taxation, all they are doing are giving colleges an excuse to raise tuition. Perfect example. Every student, as a result of government loans, has to now apply for student loans via the government. Yes or no, Vito?
Mm-hmm.
It's virtually impossible to go to school without getting a loan. Take it to the next step. As a result, colleges see kids are running to the government to get handouts so they can go to school. They're getting all these college loans. So what do colleges say, Vito?
They raise up the tuition.
Let's just raise tuition. Why?
It's guaranteed money.
It's guaranteed money from the government. The government is going to give them the money regardless. They're going to get it up front. That's what a loan is, right? You get the money, goes up front. You buy a house, you pull out a mortgage, you get a loan. Where does that money go? That money goes to the person who you bought the house from. They get the full amount from the bank. Then you got to pay back the bank. The same issue applies to the government. The government is acting like a bank. Don't even ask me how they have this power to do so. But they're acting like a bank where students have to go, ask for money, and then the colleges get the money up front, and students are expected to pay it back at an interest rate. I don't understand where the federal government has the power to play bank. I don't see it. I do not see it.
It's not in the Constitution. That's the answer. And every class, I see this at Brooklyn College, the professor gives out these little cards to sign, to send to the assembly person, in the New York Assembly asking don't raise the tuition at CUNY. The tuition keeps going up and up and up. Well, hopefully, if people listen to this, they can understand why college tuition keeps going up. And also, for Brooklyn College specifically, Brooklyn College has a multi-$100 million budget.
Yes.
They should not be having to raise tuition. But, back in the 70s when they started, it was free. Well, you see how that helped, where we ended up now.
And just to clarify, CUNY, the City University New York system, is the college system within New York City. So, and again, it is publicly funded. And I go to a private college. Vito happens to go to subsidized college, as I like to say. He goes to my college because I still pay for it via taxation. So, but the issue still remains. Here's two perspectives. In private school, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous to try to go to school and try to work and pay for education. It's absolutely insane because there's no way you could do it because everybody else is guaranteeing these or getting loans from a guaranteed source, the federal government. And this just leads to inflationary booms and leads to unfortunate events that are going to burst a bubble in the economy.
And this Million Student March had a little bit of everything. They had the feminists with the rape culture because men can't control themselves, so they rape everything that moves. The, quote, straight white male patriarchy, which I'm not even going to get into. And the fight for the $15 minimum wage because in Seattle, it is working great. That's sarcasm, if you can't tell. Seattle is going under economically, basically, because of the $15 minimum wage. Actually, Governor Cuomo used an executive order this week to increase the state workers' minimum wage to $15 an hour. So that's just a mess. But also, even online on Twitter, because this was trending, hashtag Million Student March, somebody said black students need to stop protesting and start killing. The white supremacy made it clear they ain't hearing it. So, the same thing with Black Lives Matter. You try to get out a point. I get it. But at a certain point when many people in your movement start calling to kill people, there's a problem. You completely illegitimize everything. And actually, one of our friends, Brandon Morse, we met at CPAC, also made Breitbart tweeting back at this lady saying, hey, how about you start off the festivities and see how that works?
Exactly. Black Lives Matter, like I said, is nothing but a bunch of racist people, bunch of racist black people who hate everybody else. Who hate white people. It's the truth. And at the end of the day, we continue to sit here and hear this nonsense being spewed by all these people. And I just want to touch on, as we wrap up this point, I want to touch on the $15 minimum wage. It's impossible. There's no way you could have $15 minimum wage. Everyone knows two things. The minimum wage does two things. It makes it incredibly difficult for businesses to operate because there's no way they're going to be able to pay for $15 an hour. It violates the very principle of rights about the freedom to contract. And it ultimately really hurts the poor. This is what these people don't understand. The minimum wage hurts the poor. How so, Vito? How can a minimum wage hurt the poor? Well, it's very simple. If someone wants to work for less than the minimum wage, and an employer is willing to pay them less than the minimum wage, they're legally not allowed to do so.
They're not allowed to contract.
They're not allowed to contract. So you're restricting two people's ability to contract. Fundamental right. Remember what I told you? Freedom from coercion. The government imposing itself on a contract that has no bearing. And then number two, it hurts the poor because now the people that are willing to work and learn the skills at entry-level positions for pay that is under $15 an hour, whatever the minimum wage is set arbitrarily, now they're not able to work because they've been priced out of the market because the government is trying to help them. Do you see how dangerous and how stupid and illogical these things are? They don't understand the market system. They don't understand prices. They don't understand wages. And I find liberals to be incredibly ignorant and basically incompetent when it comes down to economic matters. You cannot sit here and demand a $15 an hour wage and expect to see economic growth. I would love to do a whole show on just strictly economics. It would have so much fun from the beginning of human action all the way up to the idea of what spurs economic growth in a nation. But listen, it's a lot of fun right now, but we got to move over to that time of the week again. It's that time of the week again. It's Forget About It. Moments of the week.
Forget about it?
Forget about it.
Forget about it.
Paul, forget about it.
That's right. Forget About It moments here of the week. Here on the Vito and Vito show is the greatest time of the week. It's when we break down some of the craziest moments that ever happened this past week. It's going to be a lot of fun. Vito, break it down now first. Forget About It moment of the week.
A new study, according to Reuters, finds that 1 in 5 New Yorkers have mental health problems. That the study does not include Vito and Vito, but I'm sure will fit in just fine.
Exactly.
This is why we belong in New York. The mentally ill.
There you go. The entire city council is mentally ill. By the way,
we're run by Democrats.
The New York City Council, by the way, a little local story. The New York City Council wants to increase its pay by 71%. New story just came out. All run, majority Democrats. I think there's maybe 3 Republicans. Maybe 3 of them are rhinos, whatever. But the point being, they want to give themselves a 71% raise. I think cops got a 1% raise. Firemen got maybe a 2% raise. The city council in New York City wants a 71% raise. And remember who's leading the charge in New York City? Mayor Bill de Blasio, otherwise known as Comrade Bill de Blasio Guerrero. Go ahead, Vito. I can forget about it moment of the week.
The scientists found a new STD. Okay? It's called Mycoplasma genitalium, or MG. 1% of the population currently has it. It causes infertility and inflammation of the genitals. And Vito, do you know how you get this? By having multiple partners and not using condoms.
Great.
Which does not help.
Thanks, Pat. What is the purpose of this for this segment? Is there a purpose?
What do you mean? The segment or what I'm talking about the new STD? Because this is terrible news.
This is pretty bad. I don't know what to do now. It hurts when I pee.
Great. Always wear protection, Vito.
Next.
Forget about it. According to Rasmussen new survey, 27% of Democrats favor prosecuting if you disagree with global warming. If you disagree with global warming.
What do they want to do?
Pay attention, Vito.
They want to prosecute, you said?
27% of Democrats want to prosecute if you disagree with global warming.
Yep, comes back again to people trying to silence those who disagree with them. Again, the epitome of what a right is, freedom to action in a social context. How can I be free if you want to prosecute me from just talking? This is like Galileo, ladies and gentlemen. This is some sick tyranny world we live in, and Democrats are leading the charge. I don't see any conservatives or Republicans sitting around saying we have to throw gay people in jail. We have to throw Democrats in jail. We have to throw Marxists in jail. You don't see that, but you only see it, Vito, from those on the left. If you disagree, you're going to jail because they're just trying to create that political correct culture where nobody's offended, where everybody's equal, but none of that really is metaphysically true, let alone true within people, within our human nature.
And they're supposed to be the tolerant ones, the ones who say we should coexist, and this and that. I thought they're supposed to be the hippies, Vito. I thought it was supposed to be like the hippies.
You know, the hippie, but even the hippies were peaceful, though. The hippies were peaceful. I gotta give it to you, man. The hippies were peaceful. It's about peace and love, Vito. And they were high all the time.
Legalize the drugs.
That's what we should do. I think we should. You see, if you legalize drugs, most of the time Democrats will probably go ahead and do drugs because they're all about being stupid. So, you know, and they're very hedonistic, so you just give them some pot and crack, whatever, knock them out. And they'll get high, and they'll go in the corner, and they'll never bother us again. So I think maybe that's our best option.
And they won't be able to vote because they're so high.
There you go. They'll never be able to vote. Hey, you hear this talk that they want to increase the voting age because people are so upset with the University of Missouri? We didn't get a chance to touch on it. But the University of Missouri, you know what's going on down there with the whole race relations that are going on in the college. Well, they want to they want to higher the voting age to, you know, they want to repeal the voting age amendment. What do you think, Vito?
Raise it or repeal it?
They want to repeal it and consequentially raise the age.
To what, 21?
Something around there, yeah.
Great. So you can go to war, but then you can't have a drink, smoke cigarettes, or vote, which is a right. Don't forget that. You have a right to vote. So when do you get your rights? When? Why not 24?
I don't know.
That sounds arbitrary.
It's all made up.
What about 22?
It's all made up. Again, the state arbitrarily puts numbers on you and says, this is when you're allowed to do things, this is when you're not allowed to do things. Just let that sink in there, ladies and gentlemen, for a minute. If you're a true believer in liberty, if you're a true believer in freedom, what sense does it make to have a government arbitrarily decide when you can vote and when you can do these things? That's a whole other issue for another time, but I don't think you should be raising the voting age. Look, I'm 18 years old, man. I can legally be prosecuted as an adult. I can't have a drink until I'm 21, but I could vote at 18, and I could be thrown in jail as an adult at 18. Come on, man. I mean, no raising the voting age. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Listen, this is what it is here on the Vito and Vito Show, talking about economic issues, talking about all these types of issues, because we got nothing better to do on a Thursday night. Listen, right here, This is going to be a lot of fun, Vito. The Vito and Vito Show signing off right here. Check out the website, www.vitoandvito.com, and give us a follow on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Vito and Vito Show. Thanks for listening, ladies and gentlemen. Just want all of you to know that you're listening to the best in conservative talk. That's right, self-identified, because no one wants to say it, so we'll say it for ourselves. In Brooklyn,
it's nothing but the